the Patriot Front had budgeted for less than 3 bags of fertilizer per farmer in the southern region. Limited quantities, alleging poor rains expected. The new government of President Mweetwa, when it took office, decided to remedy this inequality of segregation in giving agro inputs in an unequal manner, and decided that all farmers across the 10 provinces of this country will get each 6 bags of fertilizer, equal. Now, that introduced a distortion in terms of the smooth supply of fertilizer, in that what was budgeted for was about half what now has to be supplied, because PF had budgeted for less or nothing in the southern region of the country. Now, to bring this equality of 6 bags each across the country has meant that you now have to bring in more fertilizer than was initially contracted for by the Patriot Front for distribution. I think at law we say facts speak for themselves. It is very clear that with the supply of fertilizer having to go up, there was a requirement to have more funding, which was not budgeted for. So as things stand now, the government has had to quickly and hurriedly look for funding to be able to enable NCZ and Alpha to supply fertilizer in the stocks required at 6 bags per farm for the southern province. That is what the issue is. It has nothing to do with any, shareholder in Alpha being a husband of any minister. And we also would like to encourage that Zambian companies doing business in Zambia will always be owned or have shares owned by Zambians, but that such companies are separate legal entities from its shareholders, and that we should stop the idea of dragging shareholders' identities into the operations of a company and begin to mislead the nation that there is something amiss here when there is totally nothing. As a matter of reality, the Patriot Front should be the last ones to comment on this issue. They must be ashamed that they were segregating half of a country in fertilizer distribution with impunity because they were in office. They must be ashamed. They must be happy that we have remedied their mischief and equalized all the citizens in this country. They must also be ashamed that what has led to this delay in the supply of fertilizer is them who left the national treasury depleted. They were abusing taxpayers' money, wanting to hold on to power. A lot of criminal activities they were involved in will soon come out in the public domain. The government of President Mweetwa is not quick to appease. They want to do a thorough job. Patriot Front left the agricultural sector in a mess. As we speak now, we are aware that the farmers are anxious about payments over the maize that FRA procured from them. Patriot Front had budgeted to purchase 500,000 metric tons this year. 500,000 metric tons was a drop in the ocean given the bumper harvest of this particular year, and would have meant that a lot of maize would have gone to waste, leaving farmers disadvantaged, or leaving farmers at the mercy of private buyers who would take advantage of the fact that there is so much maize which FRA has nothing to do with, and therefore would be negotiating to buy at lower prices, making our farmers laborers and not entrepreneurs in the agricultural sector. The New Dawn administration came in again to the aid of farmers, that even when the budget was for 500,000 metric tons, the government made a decision to add on another 400,000 metric tons, which is like to double the stocks of maize that FRA were going to purchase from the farmers to ensure that farmers do not end up losing out. And I can also state that, in fact, even with that move by government, there is still a lot of maize in the hands of farmers that FRA has been unable to purchase because Patriot Front left the National Treasury depleted. There is no money. Patriot Front should be ashamed that as we speak now, we have had to engage the services of the Zambia Defense Forces to move in an emergency situation of securing the maize so that it doesn't go to waste because the rainy season is on hand, to help or ferry the maize from the hinterland into the sheds for self-storage. This is because transporters are owed money by the government of the Republic of Zambia, which money will have been owed by Patriot Front government. Transporters this year refused to be engaged in hauling maize for FRA before they can be paid the money that the government owes them from last year and previous years of PF government's failure to pay transporters. So when I saw Mr. Nakajinga there speaking yesterday, anyway, I was not very shocked because it's just doing politics, but it's very bad politics. All we can do for now is to urge the Patriot Front to come to terms with the reality of the moment that they are the first government to lose power with such a landslide vote in the recent political history of our country. More than 1 million votes apart. That is clear condemnation by the voters that we don't want this party and its leaders. So they are not the right person or persons to parade themselves in the forefront of speaking. Unlike ourselves when we were the opposition, we had not committed any crime against the people of Zambia. That's why we were speaking with audacity. Patriot Front has no political higher moral grounds to be spending time every day, every night, attacking a new government, which they know that is a very popular government of the people, which has brought a new breath of air in the nation, freedom. They are now abusing that same newfound freedom. Under Patriotic Front, the way they are holding all those meetings they are holding, cadres would have already disrupted or attacked those meetings the same way. They were disrupting our meetings the same way. They were burning media houses, radio stations the same way. DCs would go and disrupt radio programmings, carrying messages from the opposition. So, the fact that they are able to speak should not mislead them into believing that they are anywhere near being good people. They made Zambians suffer, and the Zambians don't like them. We are just waiting for another opposition political party to prop up, which can have the moral high ground to hold this new administration to account. How can thieves, imagine thieves holding police to account? Does it make sense? They have a lot of pending cases. Some of them very soon, they will be speaking from behind bars. Some of them will stop meeting at Parliament, will be meeting at the courts. They will soon be made to account. Very soon, without exception. And no one should allege tribal crusade or whatever. Nothing. It is those who were in office, who committed crimes, that the law shall follow. How will the law follow me? For instance, me, the law can only follow me if I abuse CDF, which I didn't. So those who were given an opportunity to be in the saddles of power of government and misuse the opportunity, prepare. Your days are numbered. It's the law. It's not UPND. The UPND agenda is to vigorously tackle the challenges of poverty, challenges of unemployment for young people. That is where our president is pushing all his weight. And that is why you are seeing him walking the talk in terms of prudent management and utilization of national resources. I will soon be able to come and tell you how much money His Excellency the President has saved by going to the UN, using a commercial flight, going to Scotland, commercial flight, going to Durban, and same day come back. He's the first president to do that. Going to Botswana over the weekend, same day come back, to avoid night expenses for himself and for the core team is moving with all the security detail. Let's go back home. It's near. It's because he's trying to save every way available to begin to lead by example. We as a party are aware that the president has directed all his ministers and government departments to be very prudent about utilization of resources, to cut down on unnecessary expenditure. And he is leading by example, by risking his own personal security and by ceding or doing away with his personal comfort if he were to fly using the presidential jet into America or Scotland. So, the president is sacrificing. We must emulate the example that is given, so that we save the little resources that the national resource envelope, has. Let me finish by stating that one of the reasons there are distortions in the supply of fertilizer or distribution of fertilizer and agro inputs for this year is that when this new government came in, an audit was conducted in the agricultural sector. Because when you are talking about fertilizer supply, we are talking colossal sums of money. And the audit which was conducted reviewed the following, among others. Number one, overpricing of commodities, which was sanctioned by those who were in government. Number two, undersupply, but suppliers would be paid amounts of quantities that they did not supply. Number three, supply of underweight fertilizers. Yes, this is 1,000 metric tons of fertilizer in terms of number of bags, but the weight is lesser, the standard weight. Number four, late delivery. Contractors will be contracted and paid in advance. Some would deliver way after the fertilizer or agro inputs are required. Farmers would get those inputs to reserve them for the next farming season. There were also issues of contract breaches. Contract breaches, where some suppliers to date were already paid ahead, but they do not supply, and no action is taken. National Treasury has been bleeding. If the Patriotic Front were not removed from power, there would have been no country to talk about in the next 1 year. We are also aware of the domestic debt, where a number of creditors that government owe are PF cadres who were given various contracts of supply or construction, some of which were not performed. All those issues are being looked into to ensure that the right things are done. We are 2 months in government. Some of the challenges that are being experienced can be categorized as teething problems. We will soon be up and running in this sector. And this is the last time, I believe, we believe, that we will have challenges to do with agro input supply and delivery to farmers. Because we, as UPND, have campaigned for a very long time on diversifying from the monopoly of the economy by the mining sector into agriculture, because that is where the majority of our people earn an income. We intend going forward in the years ahead to smoothen this sector so that it can genuinely begin to attract more investment, local and international, to make it a viable and sustainable economic going concern for our people. Colleagues, we can end here. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you very much, thank you very much for it. I assure you he was quite very clear in his message. Unless otherwise, I don't think there's any question, especially that's for media. I already beyond the agenda. Thank you very much for coming. Chairman, thank you. Thank you.